they're using that to think about their future programming. So do they want wind power? Do they want large scale solar power? Do they only want smaller solar power? Are they interested in ATVs being allowed in their community? Carl, you always get that phone call during my report.
Something about you.
I know. It's every month. It's okay. I'm gonna miss that. Well, so it was kind of interesting because we took it to a next level with them, and one of the things that was a little interesting was that the results, at least of the folks that responded, there was about 130 responded in the community, and there was support for land use controls. Maybe not full-on zoning, but they would like wind laws. They would like site plan review to at least be considered and have somebody looking at projects that are coming through and thinking about them, which currently many of our communities do not have those in place. So that was kind of a bit of an interesting set of results, and they should be able to use those for a number of years to back up their planning board and their town board's actions. So that's kind of cool. The county planning board meeting that's scheduled for tonight is now a Zoom meeting due to the governor's initiative on Friday. We decided it was probably just for the safer size of our room and everything if we just did that as a Zoom meeting. So it'll just be the chairman and myself at the crossroads tonight, and everybody else, if you want to watch, just send me an email and I'll send you the link. We're pretty active with the COVID-19 outreach on behalf of the county health department. We're in discussion with the health department about changing up the dashboard setup, and stay tuned. You'll see that coming next month probably. Shared services, putting that to bed in the next month. Moving down into websites, and this sort of goes into the tourism stuff a bit. So the new tour guide is probably at 80% done, I would guess, and they are putting the text into the right boxes and all that, and it's been completely rearranged. That project was started under the chamber with Josiah Brown, and we picked it up in November with Mr. Brown, and we have every intention of completing that new guide for the new year, and you'll see those in January sometime. As part of that, it is set up quite a bit differently, and it's going to force us to redo the Western New York Wilds organization .com organization of that website also, so that the two work together. When somebody clicks on, say, arts, there will be a link on that page, and it'll take them directly into the relevant information on the arts and culture in our county, and so on and so forth. If you look at the food page, you can click that, and it'll take you right to all the foodie stuff, and so on and so forth. That may take us a few months to redo that, but that's the idea there. A lot of transitional activities under tourism. I indicated there we've already notified officially. The chamber stopped their work November 30th. So December 1st, I started notifying the different community groups, historical societies, libraries, theaters, art centers, as many as I could find. Quickly on Facebook, I sent them Facebook messengers. Sometimes I found their email and I would shoot to them. So far I've hit almost 100 of them. We'll continue to ding away at those and do follow-ups with the others, either via email or hard paper postage mail. Try not to do that too much if we don't have to, but we will if we need to. And we've sent out approximately a dozen cases of guides in the last week and a half, some to Chautauqua, some to a few other locations. We've been restocking the place at Quickly's and down here in the county building. All those kinds of activities that we're catching up on where all these guides were going. So as time plays out and we talk to these different folks, we'll find out that they need more guides. Don't want to get too much of the old stuff out when we have the new guide coming sometime in January. We're working on the I Love New York grant this week. It's due on Monday, and so that would be for 2022. I expect that shouldn't be a problem. And the tourism guide I mentioned, we're in full swing on that, moving through that process. CFAs. Mr. Harris mentioned that the state released the CFAs yesterday, the Consolidated Funding Application results. The county did not apply for any grants through this program. The Allegheny County Soil and Water District had 3 applications approved, one for Candidacia Creek, one for Council House Road, and one for Dyke Creek. Each of those was $30,000. The Town of Friendship has a sanitary sewer assessment for $30,000. Village of Alfred has a collection system study for $30,000. The Village of Andover has a drinking water improvement project for $1,250,000. Village of Bolivar has a collection system study, phase 3, for $100,000. Village of Bolivar wastewater system UV disinfection on the collection system for $1,250,000. The Village of Cuba for I&I reduction, that's where you have stormwater coming off the roofs, and instead of it going into a stormwater collection, it goes into your actual sewer, and so you're having to process rainwater, and that's not a good thing. That's a waste of money. So an I&I reduction, wet weather management plan for $30,000. And all those $30,000 ones sound like not very much, perhaps, but what those do is they lay the foundation so that next year all of those should be able to apply for the actual project. So they can do their engineering and get everything put together this year with this initial money, and then next year actually apply for things. So hopefully 22, 23, you'll see some of those projects take the next step, and it'll be millions that they can apply for.
So in total, the county got $2.78 million with all these projects this year.
The last item is the monthly report on the wild souls outreach we've been doing, and we have a short video we'll play in a moment. The results continue to be very positive for this program. To give you an idea, the reach of the program has increased 59% since the previous month. The number of clicks went up, increased 28.5%. The paid Facebook ads that we're doing through this program have accounted for 38% of the total website traffic on the westernnewyorkwilds.com site. That's a big jump. And overall, organic traffic. So what's organic traffic? Organic traffic is somebody types into Google Western New York Wilds. They don't type in Allegheny County. They actually type in Western New York Wilds. The knowledge of people having that name, that brand in their head has really increased during this time. So they're actually typing into Google Western New York Wilds, some variation of it, and it has accounted for the organic traffic to the Western New York Wilds site has gone up 35.5% in 3 months. So this is doing something. It's getting the word out. It's getting the term in people's head. They're thinking about it. It's exactly what we were trying to do. We're trying to get them to think, what's that Western New York Wilds thing? And check it out. So that's cool. I don't know if you'd like to, if you can play the Meet Carly video. No, this won't be Meet Carly. This will be Steve, I believe.
My family moved to Allegheny County when I was 10 years old. I've been living in Andover, running my business, raising my family. My kids grew up, they got me involved in skiing when I was about 40 years old. And one thing led to another. They recruited me onto ski patrol, and it's kind of really changed my life. Swain's a very good place for families. You form some really close friendships. It's a very diverse group of people, but what we have in common is this passion for skiing and also our sense of belonging to Swain. There's great opportunities here.
So we were working with Swain Ski Resort on this, so they provided a couple of people to be interviewed, and turned out Mr. Walker has a lot of facets to his world, and so he's also going to return for one about the art side of things in a future video, since we got so much good stuff with him. So this one was aimed to help Swain a little bit, but also talk about skiing and winter sports a little bit, but living here. And each one is tweaked just a little bit to show a different personality, a different part of the complexion of our community, our county. And so I think you know, people are getting a little picture of what we're all about this way. And that's all I think I have.
Does anybody have any questions for Keir while he's up here?
You all have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you to those of you who served for so many years. Appreciate it, and it's been good working with you all. And to the new folks, we'll see you next month.
Thank you, Keir. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Dr. Craig Clark, and he's also given us his monthly report. Craig, I'll let you give us some highlights, and we can open up for some questions.
I'll try to go a little slower, see if there's any questions. Let's get on the right page here. We continue to work, obviously, one project at the Crossroads. I want to thank the full board for their support and the economic development funds that we now have available. I told one of the legislators yesterday, by just noting that we have those monies available and we're going to do some site development work at the site, I have at least 3 other developers looking at that site. So I sent that out actually on Monday because I talked to him last week, and he was all excited about the fact that I get this in front of some people, because now that makes a big difference, having the site development. So I want to thank the board for making movement. It will make a difference. I've also talked to Clark Patterson, who'll be giving IDA a proposal shortly as to doing the first startup, the ramp up, as far as doing the environmental they have to do on the site before we can do work on the site. So that's going to make a difference, and thank you. I did talk to Ken, the owner of Quickly's, yesterday as well, and he's still very pleased. Everything's going very, very well. And he was excited about, obviously, other development, because other development will help him too. The more people that will stop at that travel center, the more people will stop and see him as well. So that's going to be good.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes, Gary.
Hotel development. Both Olean and Hornell have had success recently with new hotels. Is that a hindrance to us, or is it a plus or neutral?
I think it's neutral because of the locations of both of those, especially the one in Hornell. The only thing that it would do, and we knew that before when we were talking about the developer that was going to build originally at that site, the Hilton brand would not allow another Hampton in there, but they were going to allow a true. So even they were saying, knowing those two were coming, they would still allow a developer to do a Hilton brand, just wouldn't be a Hampton. And the one that's missing is one we've been talking about is the Holiday Inn Express anyway, so that's a different brand.
Thank you.
So I think it'll actually help.
The developers, nothing specific about they will help at all.
Mike?
About a brand?
Yeah.
No, there's no specific brand yet. That's one I know. Those are the two I know had been approved, and I told all the developers those two had been approved by the brand, so they wouldn't have to start from from square one. But I have not heard anything on the brand, no.
Anything on a restaurant?
No, not at this time. Still working on the one, but others also. Anything else at the Crossroads? The Arvos Lundstrom, they're moving ahead. I'd mentioned a while ago that we did get a fairly large grant at the college, and that's kicking off, so we'll be able to help, again, both Arvos and Allegheny County and Alstom over in Hornell County, or Hornell, sorry, to basically work on some fairly large-scale training efforts. Both will be hiring in the neighborhood of 100 people or so. And so that'll help, obviously. Even in Hornell, people live and transport themselves that far, so there'll be a big impact. A couple hundred new employees and high-level jobs will be in both areas, so that's good. Continue to work with Wellsville Business Park. Nothing's been signed. We do have people looking. I also had a phone call on Monday, which I'm sending some information about another small business that wants to move into the county to basically make outside electric lights. So hopefully that'll be fruition. I can't say where yet at this stage, but they are talking to us. So you will know when they put an application into the IDA. So clean energy projects. The only highlight there is we're moving. A lot of those are getting finished up. And the last I had heard, Alley-Cat Wind project looks to start and close with us sometime probably in January or February. So they're moving forward on that project, last I'd heard. Still just working with, not much on the developer in the town of Alfred, the town of Hume, the large project from Northland, but they are still working their way through that process. That's all I can tell you. Anything on those items? Yes, Mike?
Couple you didn't mention, how about the Riverwalk Plaza there in Wellsville? Is any progress on that?
There's no progress. It's still on someone's desk ready to be signed. There's one small thing that I think we have a way to get over that hurdle, but there is one thing that they're still interested, the company is still interested in coming into that plaza for full retail, yes.
How about the Tracewell building and facilities in Cuba?
Nothing new at this time. We've shown it a couple times, but nothing new, no movement at this time, no.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes?
Still on my list because, as you noticed, when I was going to mention later at Invest Buff and Agro, when they did their study for Western New York, that was still the top facility in the whole region, not just in Allegheny County. And in fact, I'm on a committee who's still looking and trying to market all of those buildings within Western New York, and that is still the top building. The biggest thing right now, Invest Buffalo and Agro is having a struggle in the Buffalo region on finding enough quality buildings to move people into. There's a lot of derelict buildings, but there's not a lot of quality buildings.
Well, it would seem with electronics being, green energy and all that, that there'd be a bigger demand for factories that were.
We have pushed it out a number of times for what you're just talking about. Anything from
'Cause that was electronics designed and built for electronics,
Correct.
and it's probably the nicest factory I've ever been in my life. Of course, that was built by one of our local contractors too. The
Well, it's
LC
still in great
Whitford
condition, too.
company
That's a
built
good
that. Nicest factory I've ever been in.
that's Bill.
Go ahead, Mr. Barnes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Talking about the
I see.
Tracewell building, I think that's been brought up just about every meeting in my 4 years here.
Right.
And not much has changed. That is owned by the Seneca
Seneca
Indian
Nation.
Nation. Is that a hindrance? Is there a problem
No, we've actually had a good relationship with them through their chamber in Salamanca. We have showed the building a number of times. I know Gretchen helped show it before. And actually, we've got a good enough relationship. If somebody wants to see it, they can get in that building within 24 hours. So we've shown it a number of times. There was one that ended up not getting a contract set, but I don't think it was anything to the Seneca Nation.
Is it because of the design of that building that you're having problems?
No,
or-
in fact, actually, that's why they show up, because of the design and what we have on our website as well as what's available. They show up because of what was mentioned, that it's a great building, it's in great shape, and it would fit. The biggest issue is just getting a contract and having them commit.
Pardon?
Having people commit to move into the building is not a problem in the building at all.
In other words, they like it but won't commit.
Right. Well, that's probably the most frustrating one, because it is one of the best buildings in Western New York.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else on those buildings or projects? The only other thing I have on the micro enterprise grant, we'll be working with the county to get an extension. We had one of our 6 applicants not be able to work through. We've got 2 other people working with us right now. One of them will be our final applicant, and then we'll be able to move that forward. So I don't have too much else on here as far as highlights. Continue to be busy. People are still calling. So the good news is there's activity out there. The bad news is we haven't signed anything.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Along with the Western New York Wilds, we did an ad just recently. I'll bring some copies. I forgot to bring them. It's a national workforce sector that was put out by the site selection group. And we did a full-page ad. We coordinated that with the county, the Western New York Wilds, Alfred State College, and the CAT Center over at Alfred University, so we could highlight all 3, because those are kind of really highlights in the manufacturing world. So hopefully we'll get some hits on that.
Mr. Barnes?
I want to back up to the Tracewell building.
Sure.
What kind of industry are you looking at primarily to fit into that building? Certainly not going to build electric cars there or
No.
whatever.
But
What is it really best suited for?
There's been some companies that come in actually on even electric, on battery development, some things like that. It wouldn't be whole cars, but it'd be components. And we had one a few years ago that was looking at it as an offshoot to support automotive manufacturing. The biggest problem with some of those people looking at the building, it's a great building. Location may not fit being close enough in the supply chain is the problem. Because most of those supply chain issues, they're building those cars down south, or they're not building them up in the north. That's the biggest issue, I think, is the supply chain piece. But that fits in anything electronics.
Thank you.
Anything further for questions? No? Thank
If
you.
not, I'll say the same thing. Merry Christmas and have a happy holidays, and thank you. It's been great working with this legislature. It'll be just as good working with the new legislature. So it's been a great ride so far. We'll get some more things done next year.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up, do we have anything on old business today? Do we have anything for new business today? Mr. Ricky?
Yeah, I'd just like to segue off what Keir said, how well the Western New York Wilds is going. And we spoke earlier this week about business cards. I think that any business card we have for any of the legislator, department heads, or whomever, at least on the backside, let's have Western New York Wilds printed, nice color. These guys get sent to a lot of
Yep.
schools and stuff. Just leave your card, lay. I mean, it can't hurt for the cost. Thank you.
We already have the design. We're already using them in the office.
Kara, would you come up to the mic? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ricky, for bringing that up. And I do know when they did the branding at the very beginning, they did talk about that. So go ahead and Kara.
We already, this summer, we did a reprint on our cards for our offices. And I had actually intended to reach out to the clerk of the board to get that set up for the next batch. And I think it's a relatively low cost to run those. And we'd be happy to work with you to get you the new design. And it's just what you said. The front looks like the standard Allegheny County card, but on the back, it clearly is the Western New York Wilds in green and, all that. And they're done right here in county. So we have a printer that can do them with no problem within 10 miles. So
And I think when you were talking about this, you weren't talking just for the legislative. We were talking all Allegheny County.
well, I can
Department
certainly help
heads.
you out with the county, with you folks, and we'd be happy to send the design to any other department.
Okay. So again, I thank you for bringing that up, and I think moving forward, and it goes to Mr. Havey, I think we talked about it, the linkage between Allegheny County and Western New York Wilds, and this would just help make that linkage. And you're right, our business cards, the county business cards go far and wide, and it's just going to help send that message, branding message. So thank you for bringing that up. And reach out for Keir, and he can help you make that happen. So that was under new business. Do we have anything for the good of the order today? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Ricky makes the motion and Mrs. Hopkins seconds it. All in favor for adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.